All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I am Shirley Lopez, and I am so excited about today's talk. I've been wanting to have Scarlett Arana be our very first speaker, guest speaker on Comadres in the Metaverse since we started this program for Las Comadres. And it's just the best timing right now because Art Basel is coming up and we have so many artists in Miami and all around the world that are going to be coming. And so I'm just so happy to be talking about this subject. It's so important on such a timely basis. So we're going to be talking about what artists need to know about Web3, NFTs and blockchain ahead of Art Basel. And our guest speaker is Scarlett Arana from BitBasel. And I'm going to introduce her in here in just a second. I wanted to, just in case you guys don't know who I am, who is Shirley Lopez, I wanted to kind of introduce myself really quickly. I am also a comadre. I've been with Las Comadres since 2020. And in Las Comadres, I represent LO Process and Notary Force, which is my legal services companies. But I also now represent Metadime, and this is my new startup. It's a Web3 company. I'll tell you guys more about it later, but because of what I'm doing, my work with Metadime, I'm very passionate about it. And now we are with Comadres in the Metaverse, talking to women about Web3 and all the important stuff and what you need to know. So I'm very excited about these series. I want to introduce our guest speaker today, Scarlett Arana, co-founder of BitBasel. Scarlett is actually a Miami native. I am so proud to say that she grew up here in Miami, a Miami native, went to University of Florida. Yay, go Gators, right? I'm not a Gator, but yeah, go Gators. And Scarlett, being co-founder of the Miami blockchain startup BitBasel, is just an amazing feat in itself. But she doesn't stick to one thing. No, Scarlett, she's got to be everywhere. She is also the co-creator of Miami-Dade DAO. She'll talk a little bit about that. Founder of UnifyIT Inc. And she's also an ambassador of the social impact movement. Proven to be well-versed deep in the blockchain Metaverse community, she now over the past decade has spearheaded community initiatives across blockchain, Metaverse, space tech, ocean tech ecosystems, and like I mentioned, is a SDG14 UN Ambassador. So as a Latinx woman, Scarlett's passion is educating young women. Oh my God, Scarlett, you're educating young women about emerging technology and guiding them on a pathway towards success. So without further ado, I am now going to pass it on to Scarlett. I'm going to let her take over and tell us, Scarlett, tell us about yourself. Welcome to Las Comadres. And I love that shirt, by the way. Take it away, Scarlett.
Before I start, I had to get off the Metaverse. Yes, I am back from the Metaverse. So what that means is the spatial computing device I have in my head is what a lot of people are referring to as a spatial computing device. It means augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality that allows me to interface with the real world. So everybody's been asking about Web3. Yeah, that is basically what I'm going to be talking about all today, and a little bit about who I am first. I'm actually an architect and a geospatial scientist with since 2013, been in blockchain. So it's a very long time to really understand this technology, but not to use a lot of scary words. What I'm really referring is the intranet, more precisely a decentralized web, so commonly known as Web3. So how I got started really has to do about understanding what the internet is, how to have ownership of your data. And, you know, a lot of it has to do with a distributed ledger technology, commonly known as blockchain, which is a type of technology that uses an encryption layer to have ownership of your data. So that's really what we're going to all be talking about. And as creators, we're going to help you onboard today about how to get into Web3. Now, my company BitBasel, we started back in 2020 in the midst of COVID, wanted to empower the creators. There's a very common event here in Miami, Florida called Art Basel. So we did a spinoff and call ourselves BitBasel in a reference to blockchain and how to empower the creators. The creator economy is basically anybody who is doing any digital assets and which is to be on board. I'm in the heart of Wynwood. Wynwood, Florida is where you probably are familiar with the graffiti walls. And we thought, we wanted to help empower these creators and learn Web3. So that's been one of my origin stories of how I got started, really, and how we helped develop the ecosystem here in Miami. Prior to that, we were called the Blockchain Center Miami, which is a co-working space, and which we actually had to close down because of COVID, but then we did the spinoff of BitBasel. So this BitBasel is more for the Metaverse, Web3, NFT side, and how to get artists onboarded. So through today, I'm going to talk a little bit how to get started really onto Web3. I'm sure you have a lot of questions as an artist wanting to enter this space. So before we begin, we have to kind of understand a little bit, what is it that we're all talking about? So in reality, there has been 3 versions of the internet: Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, which means read, write, and rewrite and own. So Web 3 has the blockchain layer onto that. So it kind of all really started back in 2009 with Satoshi Nakamoto white paper for Bitcoin, which is a digital currency that had applied blockchain technology. So it was a really more ongoing process, but it wasn't until 2015 that the word blockchain came into being. So I often get asked, what exactly is Web3 then? Well, Web3 really is the internet. That's all we're talking about. So how to use the decentralized web and how be able to be part of a Web3 decentralized web using blockchain technology. So to do that, the internet is actually composed of 3 technology: AI, blockchain, and XR, often commonly known as Metaverse. So the Metaverse, if you think about it, is the interface of the internet. So that composed of augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So we have several different ways of, when you talk about the Metaverse, really talking about a 3D world of the internet. So when you probably heard of maybe Decentraland, Voxel, it used to be called Crypto Voxel, now it's called Voxel Sandbox. These are Web3 ready Metaverse that has a blockchain layer security. So it's really exciting time as an artist, especially if you're a digital artist, to have ownership of this data and be part of this whole ecosystem. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about how to get started, how do I get part of a Web3 internet, and what does it mean, decentralized web, and how could I be part of that as a creator?
Yes, Scarlett, thank you. And I wanted to be a little bit specific here, because specifically for creatives and artists, right, it may not be the most technical, genre of professionals, right? And so how is this learning curve, and what's the easiest way of grabbing some kind of grasp and understanding as a creative, really a non-technical person? And where do these creatives start? Like, what is your advice on that?
Definitely with creators, the best thing to do is really learning about what is it that you want to do, what kind of ownership of your data do you want to participate. And what I mean about that, if you're a Web2 artist who have a digital asset and want to have ownership using blockchain technology, the best way to get started is actually, believe it or not, is open up a crypto wallet. A crypto wallet basically means it can identify you as a owner, and it could host digital currency as well as NFT. So think about it as a crypto wallet as your own bank. But not only that, you could use it as a way to hold your deeds, just like a deed to a car, and in this case, NFTs, a non-fungible token, can be housed inside a crypto wallet. That is actually the main key to be participant in a Web3. So it basically identifies you as the owner. You're the owner of your deed, in this case, NFTs, or you have ownership of a digital currency, commonly known as Bitcoin or Ethereum. So this is how to get started is I would suggest learning about the different crypto wallets out there. Once you have that, you're probably wondering, I've heard of a lot of auction houses out there. For instance, you might commonly heard about OpenSea. OpenSea is one of the popular auction house. So the best way to really get started once you have a crypto wallet is to explore the different auction house that exists. Each auction house provides different services. And that's because inside these auction houses, there are different types of smart contract. The difference between a regular contract and a smart contract is the fact that it's on blockchain. So it means that a technology is going to execute the terms and condition of your digital assets. So to get really started, as an artist, you want to think about how am I going to have or distribute or sell my digital asset and still retain ownership. So for instance, the NFT, which is called a non-fungible token, is a smart contract for your IP, intellectual property. As the owner of your artwork, it means it recognizes what type of smart contract, how it's going to be written, and how you can distribute those sales. Some artists prefer to have one-on-ones. Some artists prefer to have a series. And some artists wants to do a residual of their NFT. The reason why you might want to go in this direction as a creator is because the way NFTs work, it means that everybody has a copy of a ledger, of your ledger. So it provides an opportunity to distribute your artwork without the fear of being copied or stolen because of the hash that's associated to that non-fungible token. This hash allows people to really understand who is the owner of this digital asset. Just like a deed to a car, you could provide that deed that this in fact is your car because it's traced back to the original owner.
The certificate of ownership. That's kind of how I refer to it, to make it a little bit more visually, easier to understand. It's like I would almost say it's like a piece of paper saying you own this item, whatever it may be, but it's in a digital form.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yes, and that's exactly what it is. So you might have heard the word hash. The hash is a sequence of encryption that's associated to the digital image. The hash is actually the blockchain technology. So in this case, that is a blockchain technology that can be looked up and see the ledger distributed technology. And you can see everything that was written in that smart contract. So let's suppose that you and I wants to do a sale of trade. You're going to sell me your car. And in order to do that, you have to present the deeds to your car, right? We know this is a non-fungible token because there's only one person of ownership of that deed to the car. So I'm going to send you I'm going to sell you my deed to a car so we can have an agreement that this deed does in fact belong to you, because it's done by not by a human being, but a technology. So the technology itself executes the transaction. So why you want to do this? Well, first of all, in a world that is very decentralized, meaning it's global, one, you want to do it for security reason. Two, want to eliminate biases. And three, you want to be able to distribute this information to a network of people that can see that this transaction happened. So that's really why you want to get into this position.
And how does that affect artists and creatives specifically?
So as a creator, let's say you have Van Gogh, we want to make sure that that is the original Van Gogh and not a copy of Van Gogh. So by putting on a blockchain technology, we can verify that indeed the owner of this is selling you original and not a replica, because we could trace it back. Who is the owner of that painting? So if you're going to sell me a Van Gogh, I could then later sell it to another party, and that person can actually verify that in fact this is original Van Gogh art. So as an artist, we want to make sure that people who are working your artwork can actually help adopt this technology, and because now you can help grow your community. The artists themselves can then capitalize their social capital, saying you can use my NFTs and verify that is in fact me who are selling this art. So we can trace it back to the original artist. So that's one way of incentivize your community to come and buy your art, because they're recognizing these are original art piece, in other words, non-fungible art piece that originated from that artist. So this is a great way to validate that this indeed is original artwork.
I love that. I think that's something that maybe even a lot of young artists don't realize the importance of that and the concept of it, perhaps because maybe they sell art, but down the line, if they really want to make a name for themselves, they have to have a way to authenticate art that they've created years ago and so forth. So looking at this on a long term, I think it's so important for young artists. Tell me, how is Web3 changing the art and the creative world, like the industry? How is it changing in the way that now art up and coming artists can now license their art? Like how is that, where's that opening opportunities, and what kind of impact is it having really in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. You probably heard a lot of artists now saying that they're being able to sell for the very first time and artwork around the world. And that's really the beauty of this technology, the ability to distribute this technology globally without the fear of somebody stealing your IP. Because you can prove that you have ownership of this intellectual property through the smart contracts. So since everybody has a copy of the ledger, it allows young artists as well to really expand their visibility globally. That is really the power of the internet, I must say. The idea is like you might be a local artist in Miami, but yet people around the world can see your artwork. Because now everybody has a copy of this distributed ledger technology that anybody can see. So it allows a lot of visibility to the artists themselves. Not only that, it has more control of their IP. So you can now have a distribution of your artwork without the fear of somebody coming trying to copy or emulate your artwork, because you can prove that this in fact is your artwork through that ledger distributed technology. This is often the case with musicians. Musicians will often give samples of their work and often would never hear about whether if the clients actually utilize their work or it was stolen, basically. So by putting on the blockchain, you have no fear of somebody taking your artwork or music sample and trying to capitalize it without you knowing. Because we could trace it back to the origin, we know, in fact, it's yours. That's another added advantage because not everybody could hear your sample, and people will recognize this is, in fact, your work. So that's really one of the key, the amazing part of this technology, to be able to distribute this technology to many people around the world, and also making sure that it has that layer of encryption so they can trace it back up to who's the original owner, and also to monetize on that. So oftentimes you might have heard those artists that have a huge community, like people who've been growing their community for a while now, can now incentivize their artists, their community, by offering NFTs as a series of collections. So remember, non-fungible means that there is a scarcity. There's so many of these type of artwork available. So there's many different ways to really monetize this. One is to incentivize your community. Two, able to sell unique items for your community that could only be selected by the artists themselves. Three is also the distribution and having special utility on these type of NFTs, where the utility itself gives artists some sort of incentive to their community. So what I mean about that, let's say you're an artist and you have a private viewing collection that only the people who are been loyal to your clients can gain access to that gallery. Because again, you want to incentivize these private collections that you may have that's only really available to those who are the true loyalists. So that's one example of
yeah, the utility behind art. You never think that that those two concepts would even really go together. And now I just, so many ideas came to my head while you were saying that, because first thing that came to my mind was an artist that is in a, let's say they are a children's artist. Okay, let's just, for example, they like cartoons and they like doing a lot of things for kids. Now they're teaming up with a toy, for example, or they're teaming up with Disney, I don't know, like an attraction. And if you own one of these artists' NFTs, perhaps they partnered with a local children's play, whatever, you can get in with that artist. Now, the utility aspect in that artist go hand in hand when they're aligned, when they're, their fans are aligned or their customers are aligned, right? It just kind of like blew my mind right now what the possibilities are, how creatives can get creative in making money in these partnerships. Tell me a little bit more about the licensing. I think of artists and how they can really monetize one piece of art on a backpack, on a I don't know, on a bedspread or something, or like some kind of home decor, or whatever it may be. Like all these different things, they can license out their art. How does that work with Web3 or the blockchain?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to IP, there's different type of smart contract. And that's one more importantly, you must understand. ECR20, which you might have heard before, is a standard smart contract. But there's definitely a lot of different type of smart contracts out there. That's why it's very important to talk to like an IP lawyer before minting your NFTs. And the reason why is because you want to be able to sell your NFT in a particular way that might either provide you utility, or it might provide you residuals, and how you want to sell your IP rights as when it transfer over. Another thing you want to take into a factor is the type of protocols you're utilizing. You might have heard of different type of protocols such as Algorand, Solana, Cardano. And what that means is that they have a different minting application that developers utilize to make the energy scalability and distribution of the technology more accessible. So as an artist, to really understand how to get started, you really have to understand what is it that you want to sell first. Are you going to sell a project, a series, a PFP project, just like the Bored Apes? You know, Bored Apes is a series of NFT collection that has different attributes. And I'll not go in depth in what attribute really means. Or do you want to say sell one-on-ones based on how you are, and the one-on-ones can be tethered to a real life item. For instance, you want to sell your NFT with the original art painting. You can write that on a smart contract. So what that means is that when the persons buy the NFT, they buy the digital as well as the physical. So you have to really understand what how are you curating your gallery, right? So now you're the owner of your own gallery and have ownership that. So you have to understand what is it exactly I am going to be selling. And if you want to aggregate the utility that's a token gated utility to your artwork, it might be a private view inside a metaverse. So a lot of people understand that metaverse, again, a 3D world of the internet, you could actually have a gallery view, right? That people can attend virtually.
I've seen many of those at the conferences. They're so cool. They're so cool.
Yeah, and it was cool because the reason why people want to use metaverses is because unlike a brick and mortar gallery, you're kind of limited to your physics. That means you can only put like so many people inside this gallery. If you open it up to a metaverse, that means you could have the whole world inside this gallery. So it's more about access. It's like how many people or impressions can you put inside a virtual reality gallery as opposed to a physical, which you have a constraint of physics, meaning let's say I'm in Hong Kong, but I really want to check out your gallery, but I don't want to travel there. So I could do that virtually, like a 3D world. And then the artists themselves can actually showcase their NFT in this virtual reality that could be either a 3D model of it or a 2D image. So there are a lot of metaverses out there already that does this. And to be a participant, again, it's just a matter of connecting your crypto wallet into that metaverse. That is what it means to be Web3. So that is because now we can trace back, okay, so I have my crypto wallet that has my NFT, right? That's gonna be linked to the website, which is a 3D world. And now if they want to buy my NFT, you know, they are connected to the hash. The hash is the blockchain technology that's associated to that digital item. So that could be that point of sale for
that is amazing. You know, we're literally talking about buying stuff in the metaverse, like if we're going to Publix. Like, I mean, that's just funny. I mean, like so cool. I love it. I love it, Scarlett. We have a question. I wanted to bring this up because it's a little bit relevant. And Betsy Castro, thank you for attending and thanks for your question. So she's asking, how do you see the metaverse helping business owners who are in the service industry? I've gotten two metaverse work. She's gone to two metaverse workshops, but besides maybe creating a filter for branding purposes for a service-based industry, I don't see how much to incorporate the metaverse. So what do you, I mean, I can already think of one example, and I'll tell you, I don't want to see if you like this example, but a sushi restaurant, and this is a real life example that someone's actually think of, a sushi restaurant where you're in the metaverse and you're in the restaurant and you're you order real life sushi from that restaurant. So you're eating it at home, but you're in the metaverse eating your sushi and just with other people. Other people are around you eating the sushi as well. So that's just one example of the service industry. Scarlett, do you have another example of how you really can get creative?
Yes, absolutely. Again, I'm from Miami, Florida. One of the biggest service industry here is hospitality. The issue with hospitality is training, which is a lot of time and cost associated to that. So in the hospitality industry, you have to train your employees how to address a particular service. With the metaverse, you could have a simulation. You literally put on a VR goggles and they could actually visually see the training process. So this is one of the key factors of why you in the hospitality industry want to go into metaverse as a training tool or simulation for your potential employees. So that is one of the key features to that. And of course, you can reward those employees with an NFTs. You know, it could show that they met a mile marker, therefore they're receiving an NFT as a way to incentivize the progress. So remember, NFT has a value because it has a deed associated, so it could be a financial reward as well.
Very cool. I didn't think about that. That's really nice. I like the education training aspect of the metaverse. Very, very cool. So, having said that, the metaverse, blockchain is just, it's a lot of tech, right? And what would you say is like the most imminent things that you think that are changing in the world today and bringing upon Web3? What would your advice be to creatives on what they should be learning about right now, and how can they just get started right away? I mean, is it something that BitBasel can help them with?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that what BitBasel does is eliminating the pain points. A misconception is that you have to be a developer or somebody who's very technical to even participate in Web3. But just remember that the Web3 is just the internet. There is some technical aspect just when you first started to learn the internet. But once you overcome the very foundation of how to utilize the internet, like connecting to your crypto wallet, to a decentralized web, or in this case, a Web3, then it becomes easier. So I definitely encourage people to, first of all, open up a crypto wallet to just get started. So the more you use it, the more native it becomes. Just remember past those days when you first started to use Gmail or email, or even using a Google search engine. So we're in that stage, really, because again, you do not have to be technical at all. You just have to just learn how to adopt the technology very easily. As a creator, what we definitely encourage you, if you want to get started just to create digital asset, we definitely teach a lot of free courses, and a lot of them doesn't even have no codes required, such as Blender. Blender is an application that can create digital assets for you and more creators. And why you want to use Blender? Because Blender is actually a very easy tool, similar to Canva, where you could create animations and even augmented reality assets that you can put on these metaverse. Once you create these animated assets, then you can mint them. And minting requires a gas fee that's associated based on what crypto are you using. Like if you're using Solana, if you're using Cardano, or if you're using a type of Ethereum, that will require you that you pay for the miners basically to add that hash that I was talking about earlier. So definitely, I definitely encourage you, if you want to get into space and you're very new on how to create these augmented reality or 3D worlds, BitBasel definitely help you learning these tools just to get started. We really do eliminate the technical aspect. For instance, we have a new feature, token gated lending, which an artist can actually mint on our platform. And let's say in that smart contract, you can actually put some utilities. So we actually help you create utilities to your smart contracts. And this is something that we found out one of the biggest pain points of artists who are now feel they're competing against AI, generative art, and PHP projects like the Bored Apes that could incentivize their community and grow their community by adding these utilities. So we do help you on the technical side of the blockchain and the metaverse, and just really help you on that aspect. So you don't have to worry about which smart contracts to use or what metaverse to use. We'll help you curate those that type of work for you before to get started. Now, all this is really available for free. All you have to go is bitbasel.com, and then you can just start watching different YouTube, like introduction to NFTs, introduction to Metaverse, introduction to DAOs. That goes more in depth. But if you are an artist who don't have enough time, to understand all that, we definitely help you curate the experience that will help grow your community.
Awesome, Scarlett, that's awesome. And speaking of utility, once you've added utility, once you know what the utility is, those NFTs need to be scanned, and that's where I can help. So that's where Metadime can help. And that's another whole other story. But if anybody has a collection that they want to add utility and need the ability to have it scanned and verified in real life, in real person, and in real time, then that's where we can help. So awesome, Scarlett. And before we get into Q&A, because I want to leave a few minutes for Q&A also, what examples can you tell us of artists, whether you work with them or they're just famous artists, have become successful using Web3 in some way?
That is a dime a dozen, meaning like a lot of our artists, because it's such a new artist, the first experience of Web3, they were surprised to know like how important to have ownership of the data is, where the residual of their earnings goes to them and not a third party. So what that means is that artists often have to pay a curator, and they'll take a hefty cut of their artwork. And we Web3 actually does a 360 on that. So that means now you're the owner of your creation. Now you have data, so you have bigger residual. For instance, if you upload your NFT and the residual, you get about 98% of earnings, as opposed to if you're paying for an art galleries, which they might charge a really upsell cost associated to that.
Right.
So it really comes down to like one of the value proposition that you give to your audience, and you receiving bigger gains through that. So that's really quite exciting aspect to get into Web3, because again, you have traceability of ownership. So we always know, even if you were to sell it to a third party, that it always belonged to you because you're the original owner. And then also being able to monetize on that. So huge gains. And we have a lot of artists. When we first started, we worked with the OGs of the art world.
Can you give us a few examples or names of people you've worked with?
Oh yeah, Johnny Cash and Gus. These are cypherpunks, which actually been in the space for a very long time. And they known us for quite a while. So we helped curate some of their NFT and help and be able to sell them as well. So it's been very gratifying as more technology emerges, like how to be able to present this to their clients and have different smart contracts where they might want to sell the original artwork combined with their NFTs as well. And some of this, like you mentioned before, how do you, let's say I have a physical item and I needed to get scanned. And what you referred to earlier is there's a sensor device called LiDAR, light detection ranging. And this is actually creates the scanning mechanism. And now we have our phones to be able to scan this item. And then that creates a 3D point voxel file that can later be uploaded into the metaverse. And that later you attach the blockchain technology or NFT associated to that. So,
wow. So it's a 3D version of the real thing in the metaverse.
Often refer as a digital twin. A digital twin is an exact replica of the real thing.
You know what? I learned something new. I didn't know that. Wow. You're making my mind go. Awesome, Scarlett. I want to take some time to open it up for questions. We do have a few people on. Let me see. Let's open it up. See if Betsy, do you have any other questions? Mio, Jamie's on as well. I'm not sure if everyone is shy today or what. But if you guys don't have any, is there anything specific that you would like to ask Scarlett about education? Oh, look, Betsy asked, do you have an Oculus? And Scarlett, you've got one right there, right?
Yes, absolutely. So Oculus is basically Meta. So this is a virtual reality VR headset compared to a spatial computing VR headset. So this is a magic leap, right? So the difference is that in VR, right, it's silo experience. It's what it often we serve like a 3D world. A spatial computing device like a magic leap or HoloLens allows to see both the
real world,
augmented reality of the internet. So you see the world in real life, but you also see the augmented thing. Think of Snapchat. So Snapchat on your phone.
The filters, right.
So this is more native.
Cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. And the Oculus is what you use to go into the metaverse, right? That's what you use.
Absolutely. So these Oculus is great. It's a great price point. Yeah, you could just put one on and then you could just get started. Now, to participate in a VR world, you don't necessarily need an Oculus, but that's going to enhance that 3D world experience that only could come in on a VR headset.
Awesome. You know what? We've got another question. Betsy, you're on a roll here. Do you see ads running in the future in Oculus like YouTube?
Yeah, actually, you can watch YouTube on a VR set. And as things are emerging, Meta coming with their new headset and also augmented reality, we're going to be able to experience the internet more natively. And what that means, like, it's more of an enhanced 3D world of the internet. So including YouTube. So that's what's so exciting about this world, because reality is about content creation and be able to have ownership of that content.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And she's just commenting she wants to buy one for Christmas. I'm sure sales are going to skyrocket. So, or if they haven't already. Awesome, Scarlett. This has been great. I always love talking to you. I always love, since we met, like, this is great. You've always inspired me, and thank you for everything that you're doing in this community for women. You're an inspiration. Let's see if there's any last questions before we go. Anybody else want to speak up? Priscilla, Maria, I'm calling you guys out. Mio, Jamie, oh look, we've got a question.
Yes, I do have a question.
Is BitBasel only for Miami people?
Absolutely not. We're from Miami to the world. This is why we emphasize on RL and also virtual reality. So one of the key things we do is we are able to do a lot of live stream onto the metaverse, and we're metaverse diagnostics. That means we work with all the metaverses out there. So those who want to participate in our events can still participate online. Again, this is a technology that really refers to the internet. So just like be able to engage a 3D event on the metaverse, you can be able to engage a BitBasel event through the metaverse. So don't worry if you can't be part of this, because all you have to do is literally put on a VR headset or go on your desktop to engage.
But non-Miami artists can also participate in BitBasel.
Yeah, and I want to do a little bit of call to action. So BitBasel is doing an annual event during December. So for those who know, our Basel always takes place during Miami Art Week. So this year we're going to be doing BitBasel in call to action for creators. So what that means is that we're asking for creators to submit an artwork that has a SDG framework. So those who don't know what SDGs are, it means Sustainable Development Goals, and there's 17 of them. And what that means is that you as an artist can represent one of these SDGs and submit your artwork that represent that SDGs. Like for instance, gender equality, ocean, climate change, quality of education. And all you have to do is really upload your NFT onto the website that we're gonna show you in a minute, and just be part of this amazing experience that we're having in December. It's a week-long event during Miami Art Week that we're gonna be able to display your NFT and as well as auction it off through our platform. So this is a great way to be participating in the whole Miami ecosystem during that time, which is a non-conference that happens every year in December. So this is one of the added value that we do on top of the education to onboard the artists and getting more understanding of Web3. So again, you do not have to be tech savvy. It's just onboarding, just getting on the internet and being a participate on this event. So hopefully you could join us.
I will post that link in the Comadres Metaverse chat. I don't have it right here with me to post it into this chat, but having said that, if anybody wants to get in touch with Scarlett, I included Scarlett's email right here. And if you scan this QR code right here, you're gonna get linked to Scarlett's LinkedIn, okay? You can reach out to the Scarlett directly, and I will also post that link that Scarlett was just talking about, where artists can submit and fill out the form, participate. I'm going to include that link in the Comadres in the Metaverse chat, okay? And we have an artist in the room. Priscilla, how did you not say anything earlier? I don't know. I don't understand.
Hi.
Priscilla.
Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So we have a question. You want to know how to get started?
Yeah, I just hopped on like 5 minutes ago. Mio just told me about this.
Okay, welcome. Okay, you caught the end of it, but you know what? That's okay. You can always watch the recording again. But
For sure.
But yeah,
I'm currently teaching at school. I'm very involved with quality education, and I'm also involved with women's empowerment. And I have a huge interest to create NFTs that are like benefiting those two areas to start off with. But I don't know how to get started, and I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I know what NFTs are from doing lots of reading about them, but I just haven't uploaded or created one yet. But this event that's happening really soon, I'm in Miami, sounds really exciting.
Yes, yes. So Scarlett offered her website, bitbasel.com. Go there and you can immediately start learning how to really start creating NFTs. I think there, Scarlett, you were mentioning it, you can create NFTs and mint them right on your website as well and create the smart contracts. BitBasel is a resource and they can also actually do it for you. So definitely get in touch with Scarlett. The email address, her email address, like I said, is on the screen, and her LinkedIn, you can scan the QR code. Now, I will also include Scarlett's LinkedIn. If you're on your phone right now, Priscilla, I'll also include her LinkedIn information, her email in the Comadres chat, okay? So you could see it there as well, okay? But yeah, it's really like diving right in and just, you know, getting your hands on as much resources as you can. So Scarlett, you want to close it out with Priscilla here a little bit?
Yes, thank you so much, Priscilla. And for all those artists out there, if you want to participate in the BitBasel Crypto for Impact Innovation Challenge, all you have to do is go to bitbasel.com. We can also provide the link on this website down below. So check us out and be a participant. The deadline for this, we're actually going to extend it to November 12th to submit your artwork. And then you can, if you don't have an NFT, you could use our NFT platform to mint it on. So we will eliminate the pain of knowing about the technology. Is really about just submitting a form and to be part of this event. As you know, Miami Art Week is one of the biggest on-conference event that happens in Miami in December. So we're doing this call to action for all the artists in the world. So you don't have to necessarily be in Miami to be a participant. That we can highlight your artwork and be part of a BitBasel 1 week event. So it starts November 28th to December 4th to be displayed in one of the largest art galleries here in Miami, Florida. So it's a great way to do the art, tech, and impact. I like doing this little triangle because it's all about the art, the tech, and the impact framework to be a participant in this event. So if you are an artist, where if it's a musician, movie, or a traditional art, you know, be part of this event, and then you'll see how you can learn more of onboarding yourself into Web3 and also highlighting your artwork.
Awesome,
Scarlett. I have one question about the artwork, because I know that a lot of the times NFTs are something that can, like, people upload an NFT to have, like, you know, 100 different ways to populate. Is that like, I could just upload one NFT that's a singular piece of artwork, correct?
Yes, that's correct. There's only one NFT per participant that's going to be able to display during this Miami Art Week. So, and that's going to be auctioned off through our minting platform.
Beautiful, thank you.
Wow, love it. Thank you so much, Scarlett. Really appreciate, you know, your time today. Anyone else, any last minute questions? Anybody has any burning last minute questions? If not, I want to just thank Scarlett again. And definitely I will be around for BitBasel and BitBasel and the NFT, Art Week, Miami Art Week. So I'm looking forward to seeing you more, Scarlett. And Comadres, get involved with Comadres in the Metaverse. Let me know if you have any questions. If there's any topics that you guys want me to bring up and the special speakers to have on upcoming webinars, I'd be happy to do that. So let's do this together. And thank you so much, Scarlett, again, everybody who participated. And there's BitBasel information, Crypto Art for Impact and Innovation Challenge. Oh, guess, Scarlett, you didn't even talk about your t-shirt. Tell us about your shirt.
Yeah, Satoshi is female, right? So nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. And who knows, it may be you, and Satoshi Nakamoto may be a female. So definitely wanted to emphasize women can also be developers. Women can be technologists in this field. So don't be intimidated by the technology. Show that women can also be part of this amazing Web3 ecosystem.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Scarlett. Everyone, have a